Hi everybody, this is Craig Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the Daily Critique. Today's image was created by Steve. Steve recently created this image on our Zion National Park workshop. Steve shot this with a Canon 7D, an effective focal length of about 20 millimeters. We have two legs of the exposure trio here. Don't know the shutter speed, but the ISO was 100 and the f-stop was f16. I want to come back and talk about that a little bit later in the video. So many things I like about this image. I really enjoy the way Steve has framed this, chosen subjects that help to move me through this space in a way that's clear, where I know where to go. I love the leading line here of this lighter area of sandstone that's moving through the middle of these other qualities of line and patterns and textures. I really love the main subject here in the foreground. This arrow shape is very dynamic. It's a pointer. It's congruent with the leading line here, taking us back to one of the brightest and highest contrast areas of the image, if not the highest contrast part of the image. It's also a really beautiful sense, once I start to move, of a whole series of implied arrows or triangles that just keep happening over and over again in the image, and I'm enjoying that. Both diagonals, top left to bottom right and top right over to bottom left, they're implied before we put anything into the frame. Corners are so dynamic, so these points of energy, they imply a line in between the two corners. And when we go along with that implied movement with a contouring line as a leading line like this, or we imply a diagonal like this, it can be a very powerful way to tie the image together and unify it. When we have a feeling of cross-hatching energies on the diagonals, it's a great chance to at one time create some back and forth tension, but to also unify. And Steve has that real archetypal and powerful design motif going on here in the frame, the cross-hatching of the diagonals. It's also a really beautiful movement of color in the image, in addition to qualities of line that help to create the feeling of moving on the third dimension, the z-axis, not just from side to side and up and down, but the feeling of being able to move through. We not only have qualities of line, they're helping without arcing or moving or diagonal. We not only have the difference between light and dark, we also have color contrast, the difference between cool, then back to warm, neutral, warm, cool, so on and so forth, and that's helping to create a feeling of a lot of movement, of depth in the image. When I think about a perfect world variation, a perfect world changes here, I personally want to simplify this one. As exciting as this background is, and as much as all of this leads to it, I don't think that we need it in the image for the image to be completed. And for me, these areas right in here, this very high value, very bright, and very high saturation yellow is overwhelming my eye. I'd like to spend more time on textures down in here and details like these lichen florets. No matter where I go in the image, I keep getting pulled back here, and I feel like there's not enough of what's happening down in here to balance that out, and that starts to make me think about a crop that leads to a simpler image. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to come over from the right to right in here, and I'm going to come down from the top, where essentially the composition ends with this line moving into the corner, and then that's the crop that I'm going to end up with. I might simplify this corner just a little bit so that it doesn't finish with that dark point there, and we could maybe, let's just do it real quick, we could maybe crop just a little bit more so that we don't have that feeling in the corner. I feel like this is enough. I feel like even though there's a leading line here, that it doesn't need to take me anywhere else, that I could just go up to the point where this plays out and then keep coming back to this as a main subject, and now really slow down in here and enjoy the textures that we talked about earlier and some of the quieter subjects that are happening on the sandstone, like the lichen florets. Once I'm here, I think that we could afford to, looking at the histogram, have a little bit more of a black point and a white point, just a little bit more overall contrast, and that's what I did on those layers. And then when I got here, after setting the values and contrast in a general way, which is the way I typically run my workflow, I start to think about color, and I feel like there's an overall magenta color cast, and if I got that out of there, that the blues and the cyans and violets and rust and oranges and really muted yellows and then some real muted earth tones like the beige color would separate more from each other. And so that's what I did right there, is I just got rid of some of the magenta. I think we could come back in painting with black in a local way and put it back into some of the areas before that were more warm, like this, and leaving other areas more color neutral. We could continue to play with color, but I'm going to leave it there for right now. I wanted to say something about the metadata. Steve shot this at f16. Smaller apertures can be a great choice for getting more depth of field, but as we get to our smallest apertures, once we go beyond stopping 2 or 3 stops down from wide open, we're going to start to get quite a bit of diffraction. It's one of the things that I think that's happened to this image technically. This is an image that has so much texture and the potential for so much detail that I'd really be trying to get critical sharpness here. Better choice here from a technical standpoint may have been to shoot this at a middle aperture, focus pretty close, and let the background fall off and go soft, particularly considering how important of a subject this is that's close. Or we could focus to multiple places. We could shoot a frame where we focus somewhere in here or somewhere in here, and then closer to infinity or at infinity, and use a piece of software like Helicon Focus that I use in my own work to blend those images, and then the software is going to run an algorithm that essentially uses layers and masks to take the best sharpness of each frame to give us a lot of sharpness from near to far. So that's just a technical thing that I wanted to mention. Come back to where we started. Stunning image. Really am enjoying Steve's choice of subject, his framing, the use of qualities of line, the use of contrast and color contrast to create depth. Just a really beautiful image. I want to say a big thank you to Steve for sharing the image with us. I want to say a big thank you to all the people who participated in our Zion National Park Workshop. Thank you to you for being here. Hope to see you again real soon on another episode of the Daily Critique.